How's everybody doing today? I am in my native country of Canada, back to visit and make some big choices. I really didn't 100% decide to move, but that was part of my decision-making process. So I'm here in High Park in the west end of Toronto, where I'm from. And as you can see, it's fall, and it's pretty damn beautiful. I like this part, this time of year. All the colors and people out running around in the park and stuff. It's a little bit muddy. It's not the best weather today. So, what is all this fuss about, politics and things like that? The country I just left, as many of you know if you've watched some of my videos, is Brazil. And basically, they just had the election yesterday. So today is the 31st, and it's Halloween. So that country is so divided. If you guys watch politics and things like that, you'll see like the US is very much a divided country, and politically and stuff like that. But Brazil is equally as bad. I would say probably a little bit worse. And you probably ask, how can it be worse? Now, I saw some footage. And just to be clear, I'm not in favor of really one specific political candidate or the other. I have a set of certain values and moral beliefs that kind of take from both sides of the political spectrum, if that's what you want to use. But I don't really subscribe to choosing one person over the other or one party over the other, because it really depends. I think that the political system is corrupt. But let me get back to my other thought. So why is it worse than the US? The reason I say this is because I just saw a video today. I guess it was just after the election occurred yesterday, which was the 30th. Seems to be like a woodpecker or something up there. That is like going all over the internet, and it's a real. I live in Rio, so I know. I spent a lot of time in Rio, and I've seen these things happen. So apparently a lot of criminals and people from poorer neighborhoods of Brazil support the left side, which is Lula, who won the election, and they just basically started ransacking and stealing and pillaging, essentially. This deposit, which has a lot of they're the distributor of beer, which is a huge commodity in Brazil. So it's just, it seems like that they have chosen their candidate because the candidate has said so many different things. One example is that he was justifying saying it's okay essentially for people to steal cell phones, which is a very recurring thing that happens in Rio. Is just up on the street, if you're walking, crime is high there, so the cell phone seems to be the major target of a lot of these little punk thieves and things like that. So he said basically it was okay and it shouldn't be punished by the government or by police. Now I don't know if this gives ammunition for these people to essentially go and do what they want, but my whole thing is, what I'm getting at is that politics and politicians will not solve the problem alone in this world. In this life, I like to call it the Matrix, because there's a lot of things that that I may talk about on this channel that a lot of people probably won't believe, but that's okay. It's like, look at our world, how much crap there is. There's also a lot of beauty, but obviously we see most of the terrible crap because that's what sells on the media. Now, I don't really watch the news that often. I try to go to alternative sources as well, because you can never really trust everything the mainstream media talks about. Almost nothing really, unless it's a well-known fact by people that have seen it or whatever, posted on social media. So we need to solve these problems together. Like, I don't know why there's so much evil and hateful behavior going on in the world. Like Brazil, I understand when there's tough times and people are impoverished, they resort to desperate times calls for desperate measures. But it's like, it's so out of whack there, it's so crazy. So, like, I will put the link down to this video. Hopefully I find it, but just search for it and you'll see. It's like, oh man, that's why you have to be somewhat careful when you're in Brazil, especially Rio de Janeiro. But it's gonna take human compassion and love, and I think that's honestly what is missing in this world. Where I was thinking about doing this topic earlier, but it's like, there's no compassion for other people. Love, it seems to be there's only, how would I put it? Like jealousy and people who are just so greedy, like super, super greedy in this world. And it's just, why? I'm not against having things, I'm not against, those types of things, but what drives a person to do such heinous things in order to get something? Humans are unfortunately disgusting. Let's be honest. They can be beautiful, they can be loving, they can be caring, but we are really at a crossroads. There's a squirrel here. Let's see if I can catch him. A lot of squirrels. But like I said, we are at a crossroads here. It seems to be more and more people are just getting miserable and like unhappy, and it causes them to do really crazy things, especially in Brazil, where I've seen a lot of that stuff. It's really disheartening, but you have to try and stay positive, otherwise it could drive you. Let's just take a look at this foliage here. Pretty beautiful. So as I was saying, it's really a tough thing to have to deal with. I think humanity is capable of getting better and getting to a level of consciousness where we don't treat people like crap. We don't try and steal from them. We don't, I believe there has to be an evenness with everything, somewhat of a balance. I totally get it. People are struggling all over the world, and unfortunately globalists and things like that are the ones who are making things harder on everybody, especially like the multi-billionaire people who don't give a crap, and they invest all their money on certain things that humanity does not need, and I can't say what that is, but it's really sad. where we should be investing our money in like infrastructure, building more places, helping people getting out of poverty, getting out of a disease. Disease is also another thing, you know. We basically invented that by our lifestyles, by how we don't get out to like a place like this to exercise or breathe proper air, you know. There's just so many different variables that cause diseases, and we keep thinking it's medicine's going to fix it, you know, taking drugs, taking all kinds. That's my personal belief. I think humanity, we have all the essential skills, all the essential things that we need on this planet to avoid getting sick, you know. I believe that there are different types of things, 3 factors, you know, chemical stress, environmental stress, and, you know, food stress, like whatever, you're eating crap. What's like imagine if you're stressed all the time, and you're eating like fast food all the time, and you're not getting out of nature, you're not, you know, doing exercise. What's gonna happen? Your body's gonna break down, you know. This park, I haven't been here in so long, but I'm just, you know, spewing here, and I just wish people would get away from the whole hateful rhetoric about, you know, when it comes to politics. You know, I have friends in Brazil who go for one side or the other, and I'm just like, guys, they're not working for you. They're working for their donors, and they're working for their, you know, globalist partners. They don't care. They don't care about us. I'm gonna cut through this beautiful view here to this park. Park is massive. I don't know if any of you have ever been here, but it's probably, I think, the biggest park in the Greater Toronto area. Let's just take a look. I'll probably be making my final decision to go decide to stay in Brazil permanently. It's just a lot of decision making, you know. When you're moving to a new country, you break ties with a lot of things here. I did spend a lot of time in Brazil before I made the decision. I just wanted to make sure that it was the right decision for me, you know. I believe it is. I like the nature. It's got a lot of problems, like I mentioned, but I just wish we would. The other thing that really bothers me, especially in Brazil and the US for that matter, but I've never lived in the US, the divisiveness and how people treat each other. For example, last Christmas in Rio, Christmas Eve, people were just screaming outside the windows and swearing at each other because it was like, I think there was some news story that broke about a politician or something. I don't even remember what exactly it was. And people were just screaming at one another like one was against the other. And I'm thinking, like, this is Christmas Eve. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, it's like, you know, respect your neighbor. What happened to the respect and like and love? Just me, I will say something right now. I have nothing against, you know, I'm not gonna hate on somebody like a politician or a person that does evil. It's really hard to get that concept, but obviously they should still be punished for crimes, you know, criminals who do things and whatnot. But I'm not going to go down that road of like hate and derision, and it's just something that I don't believe it's good for your heart. This is where I used to play ice hockey many years ago, by the way. This brings back a lot of memories. So wintertime, they'll freeze this over and it'll become an ice rink. Right now, I guess it's I don't know what it was, ball hockey or something like that. Man, I remember so many times. 20 years ago, I used to come here with my buddy. We would play hockey here. They made some upgrades because we didn't have such good boards. Such cold times. The winter was so cold, man. And even the other side, they'll freeze as well. It becomes a regular skating rink, which is kind of cool. So, I mean, it's hard to express what I think, and I'm guessing that I have way different ideas than most people in this world, you know. I don't understand. It's just it's a difference of ideology, and why can't we come in the middle? Why can't we just, you know, one issue is in Brazil, which I guess comes up in the US, is abortion. Now, my personal thing is, it is a terrible thing. Okay, I don't say it like, oh, abortion it's normal. It's not normal. But I'm not. Who am I, and why should the government or anybody else say what a person shall do with their body? Like, you know, I just believe, if you believe in freedom, you have to at least admit that someone who wants to do something with their body, even if it's something you really don't like, you have no control over it. I understand it's a life. I agree it's a life. But I'm not going to tell someone what they can and cannot do. You know, they want to try and say it's murder. It's tough, and that's where religion comes to play. I'm actually surprised there's so much grass still here at the end of October. It almost looks like it's August. I used to play soccer here many years ago too. Probably like 10 years ago. So I just had to talk about this. I mean, it's just really sad what's going on. There's so much like hate being spread around. We need to stop the hate. We need to be more civilized. We need to help people when they need help. We need to just be a damn good person, you know. Maybe it's easy coming from me, but I've met a lot of like good people, but I've also met a lot of really bad people, unfortunately. I don't know why it exists. You could try and bring in a religious explanation for it, but I don't know if that's the answer. How heavy are these nets? I really don't know, guys. It's a mystery. I just wish people would come together and try to solve things without violence. In Brazil, it's very, very turbulent times. I don't know what the answer is. If you guys have any answers how we can get to a more evolved state as a humanity, definitely write them in the comments. You know, I mean, I don't get down because I know I'm doing the right thing. I focus on me. I don't get pulled into the conversations of like, you know, why don't you support that guy, or what, you know. I believe freedom is very essential. I believe a politician or a government or whatever has to be absolutely 100% transparent. I don't care. There's just so much corruption going on. There's just so many things that we need to hold people accountable of. I believe justice will be served in this world. There are more good people than bad. I mean, I don't know. If we want to move forward as a species, that's how we're gonna get. It's the only way we're gonna do it, is by working together and overcoming differences through conversation, through dialogue, not shutting people down, not censorship, none of this stuff. You know, it's just absolutely atrocious what's going on, especially with the censorship these days. And then, you know, I'll leave it for another video, but the whole PayPal thing, trying to tell people what they can and cannot do, otherwise they'll fine you if you put quote unquote misinformation or disinformation. Like, come on, what's going on? So that's my talk for today. I'm hoping that cooler heads will prevail, but in Brazil, unfortunately, people just are more hot-headed and impulsive. I'm sorry if some Brazilians watching this, but it's just true. There's more uncivilized people there than here in Canada, obviously. I know this is because of education, because of upbringing, and, you know, love. If a human doesn't get love and doesn't get caring, you know, attention as a child, what's going to happen? They end up being, you know, this empty loveless person, soul, wandering the earth and doing bad things and acting out. I believe that we definitely reflect what happens to us in our past, especially as children. Children are the point where they have to be taught the right things to do. You know, we're a blank slate. We're a blank slate when we're born. I believe that. You know, our brain hasn't learned anything except for breathing, eating, you know, doing number one, number two. It's really stressful in this world, you know, and trying to find a place that you want to live that has peace and safety and all these things. I don't know. It's just really, really complicated times, but you know, life is still good. It's amazing being alive. So I just had to talk about this, considering the election just ended, and I'm seeing it on my social media because I have a lot of Brazilian friends and people that I know, and it's going crazy. One thing's for sure, we have to accept results no matter what. Unless there's proven evidence of fraud or something, or corruption or whatever. Yeah, I mean, let's hope for a better world, guys. Let's hope for a better Brazil too, because I really want to see that country get better. It's sad seeing all these people who's, you know, starving and living on the street. And I think that's why they voted for this guy, because they think that he's going to give them everything they want. That politicians don't do that. That's all. You know, that's in any country. They say things and then they never follow through. You know. So I hope you guys enjoyed this talk. It was a bit of a rambled on a bit. But I wanted to do a video since it's my first couple days back in Toronto, and yeah, I will do plenty more talks before I leave to go back to Brazil. I think I'll be going in a month if I decide to permanently go there. So that's all I have for you today, guys. I hope to see you in the next video. Subscribe, like, you know, do all that good stuff. It'll help with my channel here. And until the next time, take care.